Soul Tribe, the Sun is forming a conjunction with Uranus this week, asking us some pretty big questions. And then we have Mercury moving into Taurus, slowing things down and getting us thinking practically and where we want to move towards the future. Stay tuned to find out how to work with this energy. But for those, let me slow down. For those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really is just the greatest, y'all. And it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I'm happy higher self has brought you here. We're in for an amazing journey. Now, what I do on this channel, well, I'm going to start adding some newer things on this channel here, so stay tuned for that. But what I'm doing right now is that weekly we talk about the aspects that are forming with the celestial bodies in the sky. They're always a chit-chatting. And the aspects are when, if you're not familiar with this, is when the planets are going around in a 360-degree circle, well, at least on a birth chart or at least on a chart. And they're forming different angles with one another. And when those angles reach an exact point, the energy is the most potent. So we're just going to talk about when those energies are happening and how you can work with them and where they may be popping up in your chart so that you can figure out how you can get into the flow of these energies. So I'm going to be covering the week of May 9th through the 15th. And this is actually looking like a pretty kind of quiet week. We don't really get our first aspect until Moon Day, and that'll be Monday, the 5th or the 13th of May, and that's when we're going to be having that conjunction with the Sun and Uranus at 23 degrees and 6 minutes of Taurus, and that's going to be at 2:13 a.m., and that'll be Pacific time. Now, a conjunction is when two celestial bodies are within, depending on the orb that you're working with. I like to do for the sun and like the luminaries, I like to do about like a 4.5 when we're talking about any sort of aspects. And then the rest I do about 3 degrees. But it's when they are within that orb. And the conjunctions are unique compared to the other aspects. This is fusion of energy. And aspects at a base level are all about integration. So it's like, what are you doing with this fusion of energy? So you're thinking about the sun, your sense of who am I? What do I want to, how do I express myself creatively? You know, how do I shine bright? And then you think about Uranus too, which is that energy of individuality. And it's very interesting too when these two are having a conversation, because the signs that they are guardians over, Aquarius and Leo, they are opposite signs of one another. So now you have these two kind of opposing forces coming together, and there's this, I feel, because Uranus is getting to that sense of rebellion, that sense of true authenticity, you know, really kind of thinking about the future and how my gifts are helping the collective, as opposed to the sun is a little more kind of egocentric. And so this is a very interesting one that is happening, because when the conjunctions are happening, I like to talk about the Sabian symbols, and that's like how I like to explain that is like it's a degree theory. Each of the degrees in the 360 circle have a story, have some sort of meaning. You know, that's why knowing the times and the degree points are important, you know, these exact points. And the Sabian symbol for this one is a very, very kind of fascinating one. It's kind of a little intense, but I feel like it brings some very big, important things to talk about, especially when we're talking about Taurus, which is what we value, where do we gain security. It deals with our money, it deals with our resources, and so our connections with the earth. And so the Sabian symbol for this is phase 54 of Taurus, and this is a Native American warrior riding fiercely, human scalps hanging from his belt. You see kind of intense imagery there. And the keynote for this is the aggressiveness of human instincts when fighting for their earthly base of operation. And so that's very fascinating, considering what is kind of going on in the world right now. I mean, you know, no matter what's kind of going on, everyone, at least on a base level, kind of knows what's happening. And there's been a lot that's been going on for a while. I feel like it's just been sort of like, just kind of been passing things along here. And it's just, what this really got me thinking about was the idea of human instinct. And I was thinking about how sometimes there's that thing that people say these blanket statements like humans are this, humans are that, will always do this or always do that. And then we just collectively buy to that, whatever that notion is. But what I feel really is that human beings, more than anything else, we change. We always change. We've been changing for a long time. But I feel there are some baser, some deeper things that we're needing to address that's been maybe pushing our change or has maybe been influencing our change. Because when I think about the sun, the sun being Leo energy, that's that childlike energy. And Uranus is that need to rebel. And I feel like it's part of it is like, I remember talking with someone about this not too long ago, where we were talking about how we collectively operate from a place of fear. I remember seeing on a number of doorsteps, like where you'll see, I remember one was kind of intense. It was, if you're within range, or if you can read this, then you're within range. And I thought that's a very bold statement. And listen, my parents have guns, but I feel like there's not that aggressive edge to it. Like we're trying to really make a point here. And that even it's just very strange where we've kind of gotten at when it comes to, when I think about the aggressiveness of ourselves as a species, that we kind of expect sometimes the worst from others, and it's not, I feel like, all equally distributed, of course. I feel like it's sort of like it almost like kind of, again, like sort of passes around. It's like whose turn it, or who are we channeling our aggression at this time? What part of ourselves do we not like this time? And that speaks a lot to this journey, because sure, there are things that we're doing individually, that sun energy, but again, it's that individual work affects the collective. And I was thinking, if you have, how sometimes we can buy into that whole, like, again, like the humans will only do this, or they'll always do that. What if like we all, or like a good chunk of people, just subscribe to that, I'm going to be a better version than I was yesterday? Then I mean, like, if you got like a billion people thinking like that and just did something to take one big step towards that, how much that would raise the vibration. And I feel like there is this, where this energy, this Sabian symbol is bringing up some intense things. I feel like it's showing us that where, sure, we may have gotten here, but we don't have to stay here. But we have to be aware of where we've gotten to and our part that we play in that. And I don't feel like it's like you have to champion all of the things. Do the thing that really speaks to you, the thing that you can't, that seems to be in your awareness all the time, the thing that seems to be calling towards you. I may have mentioned, I used to do a lot of volunteering growing up as a kid. My mom and I would always go to different soup kitchens on like Thanksgiving and on Christmas, and I kind of gotten out of that practice, and so that's been something that I've been wanting to get back into, because that's something that matters to me. That's something that speaks to me. That doesn't have to be what you have to do. Maybe you want to clean up the beaches, or maybe another person wants to do something about the different wars and the violence that's going on. Maybe someone wants to do this, but that's the thing. We have to get into, we have to understand, I feel, what has been impressed on us, and where we may have been, again, like operating from a place of fear, or from a place that's not true to who we are. I feel that the sun illuminates, I feel, whatever planet it comes into contact with. And so now there is this shining of a light of, who are you really? What is it that you truly value, from the things that you're watching to the things that you're taking in on social media, to the things that you're reading, to the things that you're listening to, just all of those things, and how they may be feeding maybe this aggression, and really kind of just, again, like I'm even getting this, I always thought it was really kind of fascinating when I'm not a big baseball fan and nothing against baseball, but someone had got me some tickets and I was just like, okay, well, whatever, I'll tag along, and just seeing how, for example, it reminds me of like how when a certain sound, like you get the dun 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 charge, and just everyone just instinctively knows how to do that. Just like, just I don't know. It's really getting about like what has been ingrained in you, and it's just like, why do I do that? Like, it gets you more present, I feel, too, when we're talking about Taurus energy as well, really kind of being in the moment. And I feel this is, I feel also too how we've even kind of gotten, maybe, how do I want to put this? This can be, I feel like, a time too to kind of reflect on how we've been really aggressive with our environment as well. Just like how, because again, Taurus gets us thinking about that, the earth as well. The earth, Taurus is the farmers, and how have we been treating the soil? Have we been throwing a lot of aggression around? Have we been putting a lot of our, yeah, I don't know, there's something just like an energy of neglect, something that's been neglected here, something that's needing to be looked at, something that's been suppressed here. So this conjunction, I feel, is asking a lot of kind of deeper questions and seeing where that spurs you. What actions do that lead you towards? Maybe you decide to leave a group and join something else. Maybe you go in, and I don't feel like it's just like a bunch of just like, again, like you just leaving a bunch of things, is introducing new sort of stuff that really kind of resonate with who you truly are. And I feel like when enough people start doing that, things start changing. People start wanting more for themselves. We get past that sort of like human instinct of just fighting for our base of operation, because the way that we're fighting for the base of operation, on the time we're going to destroy the base, and then what's the point? So it just, I feel, it gets to thinking about that, and that can be a lot of deep stuff to integrate. But I feel the next energy is going to support that, these integrations and these actions towards that, because at 12:45 p.m. Venus is going to be forming a sextile with Saturn. Venus being at 17 degrees 40 minutes of Taurus, and Saturn being in Pisces. Now, the sextile energies create opportunities. I like sextile energies. Can be very just kind of nice, uplifting types of energy. And I feel that this can be where we're forming, we're getting used to the idea of doing our part in whatever that means for you, whether this be, maybe you're wanting to get more involved in your community, or maybe you're wanting to, maybe, who knows, do some sort of like cleanup, or maybe this is, I feel like there's something here, I just feel that can look at how we can be a bit more compassionate in our relationships with each other, with ourselves, with our environment. Just even just thinking about all this stuff, just kind of looking around. I remember there was this person who would run around the block where my parents live, and he always had a bag and would run and just like go pick up trash. No one asked him to, and it was just him doing it. But just like, kind of looking around and how maybe we'll ignore things. I remember being out and there was just like all these papers just littered around, and I understand that things happen sometimes, but just like it's like if we all, again, just, I feel like, did a little bit, that little bit of discipline, taking that little extra bit of time, and whatever that is, maybe cleaning up the things. And if it's like a collective relationship with this, how much, what a dreamier place I feel like the Earth could be, because with Venus being at home in Taurus, and even Saturn being in the sign that Venus is exalted in Pisces. Saturn in Pisces, I feel, is to, there's an awareness that comes, I feel, with Pisces. Our an awareness of the part that we're playing in this. And I almost feel that, it just feels like this could inspire just wanting to do something more. This can be where it doesn't have to be a downer, where it's just like, oh, there's all this stuff that's happening in the world. Well, what's the point? The point is that we can make it better, where there's been this, I feel like there's this enemy of like this formidable wall of like, oh, humans can't change. So like, let's create a hero that can fight that, that can combat that change, or that can be, the change, or yeah, just some interesting stuff I feel like to kind of think about. But maybe on a smaller scale, I feel that this could be where, if you've been kind of putting some things off, as far as, I almost feel like, for one, even just like taking care of yourself, just taking the time for rest, just thinking with Saturn and Pisces, Saturn can be where it's going to take some time to get to where we want to be. So we might as well relax along the way, not get stuck and stagnant, but making sure that we're recharging our batteries. And I feel that this can be one too. It's like, in doing that, then the productivity increases. Then we start to enjoy the things that we're doing. And how can you incorporate more things in your day to day if you haven't been enjoying them? How can you do a bit more to make it not so much of a, maybe like a drudgery type of experience, or something where you're dreading each day, or whatever that may look like for you. So, and then the last energy here on Mercury Day, Wednesday, Mercury at 10:05 a.m. is going to be, and he's catching up with all the other personal planets, and is going to be entering into Taurus. Now, I like Mercury in Taurus because, yes, Mercury does slow down a little bit in Taurus. It's not quite a pace that Mercury's used to. Just because a slow Mercury does not equal a dull Mercury. My mom has Mercury and Mars conjunct in Taurus, and let me tell you what, powerful mind. But Mercury in Taurus, I feel, can bring up a number of things. This can be a time to invite some things to slow the mind down a little bit, to be more present in what we're doing. Taurus is a very grounded energy, so this can be maybe having a little less screen time and maybe taking in a bit more nature. This is even thinking too, when we're talking about those values and things and human instincts and stuff, paying attention to the stuff that you value and what is it that you're intaking day to day, because that's one thing with Mercury. Mercury is our everyday, from our commute to our immediate environment, to our neighbors, to our friends, to our siblings. It deals with a lot of very personal stuff. Mercury's always within a certain range of the sun. He can't travel outside from the sun too long. But I do feel that this does, what are we communicating to ourselves every day? What is going on in our sphere, Joe? So really kind of, again, be present in what's going on, how that makes you feel, because Taurus is a very receptive energy too. What you're taking in, how that sits in the body, really kind of tune into that. And really, I feel like too, thinking about because Taurus can deal with food, how your relationship with food is going, how your relationship, again, we're just with your body. Taurus is a very physical energy. This could be one where we start moving a little bit more, maybe getting out of the mind and getting more into the body. And then having that relationship, how that had, when we channel some of that nervous mental energy into physical activity, we get a lot more done. There's this, because Taurus too, this is a very practical placement for Mercury to be at. Taurus is thinking about the long haul. Taurus, like I was saying, is the gardener. That's a great analogy for Taurus. And so a gardener needs to know what's going on with his crops, what's going on with his day-to-day. How's the weather looking? Do I have enough water? Do I have the soil that I need? Does the soil have enough nutrients? How do I introduce more things? Where do I need to pull back? Where do I need to do? There's a lot that's going on on with this. And so in that, I feel this allows you to really kind of focus on just like a couple of things right now and let those building blocks just kind of come naturally. Instead of kind of forcing stuff, let the stuff happen. And it's just like, okay, this is what I'm working with today. Okay, let me get this piece, and this piece. And then let's start integrating. Let's start letting that grow. Let's nurture that. Okay. And then we get here and then just get very methodical, very, very present and enjoying what you're doing. You know, because I feel the shadow side of Taurus is that they will do stuff just for security's sake. So I feel like if it's not bringing you that real sense of inner peace, if you feel like you're settling just because of something, and this is just in any sort of area, just be mindful of that. You know, we're in a place of working smarter, not harder, when we're dealing with Taurus. But and think too, when we're thinking about Mercury and Taurus, this is where your thoughts become things. Your thoughts are manifesting when Mercury is in an earth sign. So this is and we're in a very, very rich energy that we just had with this new moon that just passed, and it's culminating. Things I feel like can potentially be, you know, the starting seeds of a cornucopia. So yeah, really work with this and thinking about what we want to invest in. What do we have the patience for to invest in? Because this is something that's going to be, we're waiting 6 months out till we get to that full moon energy. But it's like, what are we thinking about now? You know, what matters right now? You know, what makes sense for me? What do I feel is, yeah, just what do I value, and how am I communicating those values? And again, remember that what is being communicated in your world, because I'm an ending thought. I remember about this. I think I've told this story where, and you've probably heard about this, where they've had this, I don't know if it was a museum or some sort of study where they had these two plants. And I've heard a couple of stories with this. One was where they had people say obscenities and criticisms to one plant and then saying these uplifting things. And then I heard another story where it was playing like this really aggressive music as opposed to like maybe more relaxing music. And you can imagine the results. The one that got the negative or the harsh vibrations died. The other one thrived, flourished upright. And so, you know, again, pay attention to what's going on in your surroundings, because that's what's going to be sowing in your garden. You know, and energy transfers. And so this is something where if you're feeling, you know, if something's not feeling right, this is a time to tend to that. And a great way to process that, to get yourself out of your head, is to get into your body, get moving, get to doing something, finding some things that bring you peace. Taurus can be a very meditative sign as well, not just sitting in silence. This could be doing something that brings security. Maybe you are tending to a garden, or maybe you're knitting something. Maybe you're doing some things around your home space. Maybe you're fixing up that wall, or maybe you do whatever, that patching up that thing. But yeah, so very interesting energy this week. Again, kind of a light week when it comes to the aspects, but I feel that it's kind of nice to have this break, and things I feel are going to definitely start pick up as far as like in more beneficial things. Not like, oh my gosh, stuff's coming. Big Papa's going to be forming some aspects here towards the end of the month and making a grand entrance into Gemini here soon, and Venus will be moving into Gemini, Sun's going to be moving. It's going to be a lot of relaxing into hopefully like a very nice kind of social energy. And I'm still hoping we're keeping that relaxing pace, since Mercury is will be the guardian of all that Gemini energy. It'll be more of a picnic type of energy is what I'm hoping, or what I feel we can make this energy could be. So, but we'll talk about that more when we get into that next week. So, but you stay mindful out there, stay present, stay grounded, and stay hydrated. Take care of that vessel, and I will catch you on the next one next week.